Don't you find that the worst thing about being a teenager is you're not in control of your own life? Like when my school organized a bunch of exchange students to come stay on the weekend of my big ballet show. But it turned out to be the best summer of my life. I'm Krista. I'm 16. When I met the girl of my dreams, I had no idea she was really a princess. See if you would have figured it out. But before I get to that, can you guess what I'm gonna say? That's right, like and subscribe. I'm super shy and nervous around new people. Know what I mean? So when I got chosen to host one of the visiting students from some tiny European country I'd never even heard of, I was insanely anxious. I just find new people really hard to get along with. Whenever they expect me to speak, I just feel like I'm under so much pressure. What if I say the wrong thing? What if they think I'm stupid? What if... I know it sounds weird, but the only time I don't feel anxious is when I'm on stage in front of thousands of people dancing. When the teacher read out the name of my exchange partner, Olga, everyone laughed. My neighbor Todd was like, "Krista has one of the teachers." And another kid said, "I bet she has a mustache." Our teacher was furious and put them in detention. She said, "See, this kind of infantile behavior is why you need to meet people from other countries." I was so nervous. Olga was coming to live in my house for a week. What would she be like? There was so much to do, but I worked out there was just enough time to meet the coach and then make my important ballet rehearsal. Do you think the coach arrived on time? Of course not. I wanted to welcome Olga, but my ballet teacher would be so angry with me if I was late. Finally, the coach arrived. They were so slow getting off and I was running out of time to get to the rehearsal. Finally, the teacher called out Olga. I hadn't expected Olga, the exchange student, to be hot. My heart melted. My knees turned to jelly, but I couldn't think about that now. I was like, "Come on, Krista, focus." Just then, my dad arrived, and the first weird thing happened. Olga just stood next to the car. I thought maybe car doors work differently where she's from. I yanked open the door. I felt rude, but we were so late. She got in and just sat there. Then I looked back at the coach and realized Olga hadn't picked up her bag. There was only one left on the street, and Olga just watched me carry it. What did she think we were, her servants? When we got to the rehearsal, Olga came in with me. I said, "Sorry, big show." Olga smiled and nodded. I raced onto the stage. I had made it, but I looked around. The biggest, most difficult number in the show is a duet, but my duet partner was nowhere to be seen. I did the steps anyway. But if you've ever danced, you'll know there isn't much point in one person practicing a duet. I felt so let down. After the rehearsal, we took Olga home. It was all so cringe. She seemed really nice, but she didn't speak any English. All she managed was ballet, yes, and I was just as bad. I thought she was so pretty. It was difficult to know how to make her feel welcome, especially as she didn't understand a word I said. I was relieved to go to bed, even if I was sharing with my brothers so Olga could have my room. The next day, I was up super early. I was desperate to practice for the show. When I saw that Olga was up early too, my heart sank. She was so awkward, and I needed to dance. She watched me for a bit. Then she appeared with a pair of my old ballet shoes. Did she want me to teach her how to do ballet? No, she was amazing at ballet. It was so much better than practicing my duet alone. And we danced until evening. I knew the duet so much better by the time I went to bed. I felt like dancing was helping me get to know Olga, but there were still some strange things about her. She seemed confused no one tidied her room. Did she live in a hotel? The very next day, it was the big show. I was excited. But then, my teacher rushed up with terrible news. My duet partner had sprained her ankle and would not be in the show. I was devastated. Then, I realized Olga could dance the duet with me. Dancing with Olga was like nothing I'd ever felt before. We didn't need words. Honestly, I think that was the moment we fell in love. It turned out Olga was just as shy as I was, so it took her a while to find the courage to talk. But when she did, we had the best week of our lives. She had never eaten any of my favorite chocolate because they don't sell it in her country. She had never rollerbladed. I asked her why not, and she said sometimes her parents were strict about what she could do. I took her to try bubble tea. I'm not sure she liked it. But then some boys started play fighting near us. I was like, "Guys, cut it out." When all of a sudden, 2 men dragged them away. I was like, mall cops, even though they didn't have the mall jackets on. And Olga was like, "I see, mall cops." And weirdly, one time after we had watched a ballet performance, this man took Olga's photo, and I'm sure that the same guys from the mall stopped him. But Olga insisted that the man taking the photo must have thought she was someone else and the man that stopped him. Well, maybe I was having deja vu. Being around Olga was sometimes anything but normal, but I didn't think about it too much after that as I started to become nervous about what it would be like when I stayed at Olga's house. And soon enough, it was my turn to be the weird exchange student who doesn't know anything about the country they are visiting. It was so great to see Olga again. Even though we messaged and FaceTimed almost every day, when I saw her in real life, I knew my love for her had only grown while we'd been apart. But she seemed kind of nervous, and not in a good way. Did she still feel the same? What if she changed her mind about me now that I was visiting her home? Olga hadn't told me much about her parents or her house, and I was about to find out that Olga wasn't quite what I thought she was. When the car pulled up to collect us, it wasn't her mom or dad. It was a chauffeur. We waited while he got out and opened the car door for us. Then he shut us in. I never forget a face. I was like, Olga, that chauffeur looks just like that mall cop we saw when we were having bubble tea and when that man took your photo. Is he your security guard? She said that he was, and she was sorry for lying and saying I might have deja vu. She wanted to tell me the truth, but her parents insisted she couldn't. I asked if her mom or dad were like a politician or rich, but she just smiled and told me how much she'd missed me and how much fun we were going to have together. When we got to Olga's house, it wasn't a house. It was a castle. Can you believe it? An actual castle with turrets and a moat and butlers and everything. Olga said, Krista, I didn't want to tell you before, but my dad is the king of our country. She lied to me because she also just wanted to see what it would be like to feel like a normal person. She said the longer she didn't tell me, the harder it got. And I wasn't angry with Olga, but I did feel kind of weird that I had fallen head over heels with someone who had hidden something so important from me. By the time I got to my bedroom, my clothes were already unpacked. I'd always thought having servants would be great, but now I didn't know where anything was. Over the next few days, I began to see how people treated Olga. Everyone was so polite, but also kind of cold. I began to see how Olga might want a week off being a princess when she came to stay with me. Plus, it was way more like a job than I had ever imagined. Night after night, there were these enormous banquets that we had to attend. The first one was fun, but they got pretty boring pretty quickly. Luckily, Olga was keen to make me try new things. I tried skiing. I went out in a sailboat. I had weird melted cheese that was way tastier than I expected. Best of all, we saw some of the greatest ballet dancers in the world. All too soon, it was time for me to go home. We had to face up to the fact that we wouldn't see each other for a really long time. Would our love wear out like an old ballet shoe? Would she change her mind? But me and Olga agreed we would keep dating, even though we're oceans apart. She's going to come and stay all summer. We're going to help run the children's ballet school, go rollerblading, and eat chocolate. Because I might be dating a princess, but she knows I love her just for who she is. How would you feel if you suddenly found out your boyfriend or girlfriend was royalty? Comment Princess Castle Nightmare if you want to know the crazy thing that happened when I stayed in her castle one time.